Welcome, the anointed ones. Take a breath and let this truth settle into your spirit. The enemy may appear powerful, but even his hands tremble when he comes near those who are chosen. Let that sink in for a moment. While much of the world lives under the shadow of fear, worried about dark forces and unseen battles, there is a deeper reality that brings peace instead of panic. If you are truly chosen, not even the highest-ranking demon can touch you, not because you are strong on your own, but because your destiny is not ordinary. It is sealed, guarded, and wrapped in divine protection. Scripture reminds us, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper," Isaiah 54:17. And that promise is not poetic language. It is spiritual law. There is an unbreakable shield surrounding your life, a holy covering that causes even the darkest spirits to hesitate and retreat. They recognize what you may still be learning about yourself. They know who walks with you. They know whose hand rests upon your future. Have you ever wondered why, despite the attacks, you are still standing? Why the storm didn't destroy you? Why the darkness didn't consume you? This is not an accident. This is calling. This is protection. And now, as you step into this sacred awareness, I invite you to declare your readiness. Open your heart. Speak it out loud. If this message resonates with your soul, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so we can continue this journey together. You are not here by chance. You are here on purpose. Despite the chaos swirling around you, despite the noise, the pressure, and the unseen resistance, you continue to rise. That alone tells a story. This is not coincidence, and it is certainly not luck. It is the quiet, unmistakable hand of God positioning you where you can witness something extraordinary. The collapse of every plan meant to stop you. While others struggle just to survive the storm, you are being lifted above it, given clarity where confusion was supposed to reign. Scripture says, "When the enemy comes in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord will raise up a standard against him." Isaiah 59:19. What you are experiencing is that standard in motion. You are not spared from difficulty because you are weak, but because you're entrusted. There is a divine reason you are still standing, still moving forward, still breathing with purpose, while opposition exhausts itself trying to reach you. There are forces of darkness that cannot operate where a soul abides under God's authority and truth. While darkness thrives on fear, instability, and emotional chaos, your spirit abides in a spiritual position under God's authority that darkness cannot access. It is like light passing through a prism they do not possess. The Bible speaks of believers being seated in heavenly places, Ephesians 2:6, not as poetry, but as position. When God elevates someone spiritually, He does not simply improve their circumstances, He changes their operating level. Your soul has been tuned by divine hands, calibrated to truth, faith, and discernment. That is why certain attacks never land. That is why some doors close without struggle, and some dangers seem to miss you entirely. You are not invisible, but you are unreachable to what cannot rise where you stand. Dark forces depend on emotional access. They search for entry points in fear, self-doubt, resentment, and despair. But when a soul is anchored in faith, those entry points collapse. Think of Jesus asleep in the boat while the storm raged. Mark 4:35-41. The storm had power, but it did not have authority. The waves could rise, but they could not decide the outcome. In the same way, chaos may surround you, but it does not define you. Your inner posture of faith and trust in God shapes how you experience His protection, even when your external environment is unstable. That is why your calm unsettles what seeks to disturb you. Your peace is not passive, it is powerful. Long before you took your first breath, your life was already spoken into purpose. Jeremiah 1:5 declares, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." This is not a metaphor, it is a declaration of divine intention. There are lives that are reactionary, shaped only by circumstance, and there are lives that are intentional, shaped by calling. Yours belongs to the latter. That calling comes with protection that cannot be renegotiated. What God has ordained cannot be overridden. No interference can ultimately overturn what God has written in eternity for those who remain aligned with His will. The enemy does not attack randomly, he reacts to significance. But every attempt to interfere with God's plan only proves how irreversible that plan truly is. There is a quiet irony in how opposition works against you. What was meant to weaken you ends up strengthening you. What was designed to delay you becomes the very process that matures you. Romans 8:28 reminds us that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to His purpose. This does not mean all things are good, but that all things are governed. Even resistance is regulated. Even betrayal has boundaries. Even loss has limits. You are not surviving by chance. You are advancing by design. The very pressure applied against you is being used to refine, not destroy. One of the greatest threats to darkness is awareness. Deception only functions in obscurity. The moment truth enters, manipulation loses power. Jesus said, "You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." John 8:32. Freedom does not always come from removal of adversity, but from understanding it. When you begin to recognize patterns, tactics, and emotional triggers, you stop reacting and start responding. That shift changes everything. You no longer internalize what was meant to confuse you. You no longer carry guilt that was never yours. You no longer fear what you can now see clearly. There is a story in the Old Testament of Elisha and his servant surrounded by enemy forces, 2 Kings 6:15-17. The servant panicked, seeing only the physical threat. Elisha prayed not for escape, but for vision. When the servant's eyes were opened, he saw the hills filled with horses and chariots of fire. The threat had not changed, but perception had. Awareness revealed protection that had been present all along. In the same way, your growing discernment is not making life harder, it is making it clearer. What once felt overwhelming now feels manageable because you understand the terrain. The truth is, many battles were decided before you ever knew they existed. Victory was not something you fought for, it was something you walked into. The cross settled more than personal salvation, it established authority. Colossians 2:15 tells us that Christ disarmed the powers and authorities, making a public spectacle of them. That means what tries to intimidate you is already operating from a position of defeat. They may still make noise, but noise is not power. Threats are not outcomes. The end was written before the conflict began. There are people who spend their lives fighting battles they were never meant to fight, trying to prove strength where rest was offered. But when you understand your position, striving fades. You move differently, you speak differently, you respond with restraint instead of panic. This is not passivity, it is confidence rooted in authority. When David faced Goliath, he did not match size with size. He matched certainty with arrogance. He knew who sent him. That knowledge removed fear. "The battle is the Lord's," he said, 1 Samuel 17:47, and history agreed. Authority is not loud. It does not announce itself with force. True authority shifts atmospheres simply by entering them. Darkness cannot coexist with light, not because light attacks it, but because light reveals it. When Jesus entered spaces filled with torment, spirits recognized him immediately. They responded not with aggression, but with fear. Authority given by God does not need human permission. It is recognized because it flows from Him. When you walk in alignment with God, your presence carries something beyond personality or confidence. It carries order, and chaos cannot survive in order. Fear is one of the most common tools used to destabilize people, but fear loses influence when it is not believed. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. Fear may still knock, but it no longer has keys. You feel concern, but not paralysis. You experience uncertainty, but not despair. Faith does not eliminate emotion, it anchors it. That anchoring keeps you from being swept away by every alarming thought or worst-case scenario. There are real-life stories of people who walked through impossible situations with unexplainable calm, survivors of disasters who later say they felt carried, individuals who avoided tragedy by a moment's delay or an unexplainable decision. These are not coincidences, they are intersections between divine guidance and human obedience. You may not always understand why you felt prompted to pause, to leave, to wait, or to speak, but those moments matter. Guidance does not always shout. Often it whispers. As you continue forward, understand this. Being protected does not mean being untouched by hardship. It means hardship does not have the final word. You will feel pressure, but it will not crush you. You will face loss, but it will not define you. You will encounter resistance, but it will not stop you. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Psalm 23:4. Notice the language. You walk through, not stay in. The valley is a passage, not a destination. You are not here by accident. Your life carries intention, weight, and meaning beyond what you can see right now. The very fact that you have endured what should have broken you is evidence of something greater at work. What cannot reach you does not do so because it lacks interest, but because it lacks permission. Your life is governed by a higher authority, written into a story that is still unfolding, and no force, seen or unseen, gets to rewrite what God has already declared complete. There comes a point in the journey of a chosen soul when opposition no longer looks aggressive, but hesitant. The fear you sense is not imagined, it is real. Darkness recognizes when it has lost leverage. Chosen ones are not merely protected from hostile forces. Their very way of being disrupts and disorients them. What once relied on patterns, predictability, and psychological weaknesses suddenly finds itself ineffective. Forces that operate through manipulation study habits, routines, emotional triggers. They wait for fear, insecurity, or doubt to open a door. But with you, those doors do not open the way they expect. You do not follow the usual script. Your life does not move in circles of self-destruction or familiar cycles of collapse. Instead, you move according to a guidance that is not linear, not reactive, and not driven by fear. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight." That straightness is not simplicity, it is alignment. And alignment makes you unpredictable to anything that relies on human weakness to gain control. When opposition attempts to anticipate your next move, it fails. You are not playing the same game. It is like trying to predict the steps of someone who is listening to a different rhythm entirely. While others react emotionally, you pause. While others panic, you observe. While others lash out, you remain steady. This confuses what depends on reaction. Manipulation requires predictability. Control requires emotional buttons. When those buttons no longer work, the system collapses. The more they attempt to study you, the less they understand. You do not move out of insecurity. You do not decide out of fear. Your thoughts, actions, and timing are aligned with something unseen, something higher. The wind blows where it wishes, and you hear its sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it goes. John 3:8. That is the nature of a life guided by the Spirit. It cannot be tracked or contained, and because it cannot be predicted, it cannot be controlled. While confusion grows on one side, clarity increases on yours. You move forward quietly, steadily, already steps ahead, while opposition is still trying to figure out who you are. This is not arrogance, it is positioning. You are not unreachable because you hide. You are unreachable because you are operating beyond their reach. Your destiny is not small, and it was never meant to serve only your comfort. It is tied to a greater mission, one that requires stability at the core. That is why you carry a peace that cannot be shaken. This peace does not come from an easy life. In fact, many chosen ones face deeper challenges than most, but your peace does not come from circumstances. It comes from connection. Jesus spoke of this when he said, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives." John 14:27. Worldly peace depends on control. Divine peace exists even when control is absent. Chaos feeds on reaction. Confusion thrives on emotional volatility. But when you remain grounded, calm, and inwardly steady, disruption loses its power. It is like trying to ignite a flame in the middle of heavy rain. No matter how much effort is applied, nothing catches. You may walk through storms, but you do not become the storm. That steadiness frustrates what seeks to destabilize you. You may notice this in real life. Situations that should provoke anxiety no longer dominate your thoughts. People who attempt to draw you into drama feel unsettled by your calm. You are not detached, you are anchored, and the more pressure is applied, the deeper that anchor goes. James 1:2-4 speaks of trials producing perseverance, maturity, and completeness. What was meant to overwhelm you has instead strengthened your inner foundation. This inner peace becomes a kind of barrier, not a wall built of resistance, but a boundary formed by clarity. Control cannot attach where chaos is absent. Manipulation fails when there is nothing to exploit. The more attempts are made to unsettle you, the more evident it becomes that your calm is untouchable. This peace is not passive. It is active, powerful, and protective. There is a dimension of reality most people never consider. Your life and calling are known to God and carried within His eternal purpose. Not because of fame or recognition, but because of assignment. Names in Scripture carry meaning, authority, and calling. When God changed Abram's name to Abraham, or Jacob's name to Israel, it marked a shift in identity and destiny. Your name carries weight in realms you do not perceive. It is not merely a label, it is a marker. Opposition does not fear you because of who you are in the natural. It fears the authority attached to who you are becoming. There is an understanding, even in darkness, that certain lives come with consequences if interfered with. This is why Scripture warns, "Do not touch my anointed ones, do my prophets no harm." Psalm 105:15. That protection is not symbolic, it is enforced. There is an unspoken recognition that engaging with you carries risk, not because you retaliate, but because you are backed. Attempts to interfere with your path trigger responses beyond the visible. This is why some threats never materialize, some plans dissolve before reaching you, some conflicts never escalate. It is not that you are invisible, it is that interference comes at too high a cost. Your presence carries exposure. Darkness depends on secrecy. It thrives in confusion, half-truths, and distortion. But light reveals, and you carry light not as performance, but as authenticity. For you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Live as children of light. Ephesians 5:8. Simply by being aligned with truth, you expose what relies on deception. You may notice this effect around you. Lies unravel in your presence. False motives surface. Hidden agendas are revealed. Not because you confront them aggressively, but because clarity cannot coexist with illusion. It is like turning on a light in a dark room. Nothing needs to be attacked. Everything is simply seen for what it is. This exposure is deeply unsettling to what thrives in obscurity. Plans lose effectiveness. Strategies collapse. Manipulation becomes obvious. The smoke clears, and what remains is powerless. You do not need to call attention to this. Your life does it naturally. Light does not announce itself, it illuminates. Your existence itself is a rebuke to darkness, not through confrontation, but through contradiction. You embody hope in a world that expects despair. You carry faith where cynicism dominates. You choose integrity where compromise is easier. Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Matthew 5:16. This light challenges everything that feeds on fear and chaos. Every breath you take, Every step forward affirms that darkness is not ultimate. That truth alone is threatening to forces that rely on hopelessness. You dismantle influence not by force, but by alignment. Your thoughts, when aligned with God's will, carry weight. For as he thinks in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23:7. When your mind is anchored in truth, influence collapses. There is a quiet panic that arises when darkness encounters someone it cannot intimidate, deceive, or overpower. You are not loud, you are not aggressive, but you are immovable. That immovability speaks louder than resistance ever could. It announces that authority exists beyond fear. Your life is not random, it is an assignment, and every assignment comes with reinforcement. Scripture is clear that you are not walking alone. Are not all angels ministering spirits sent to serve those who will inherit salvation? Hebrews 1:14. This is not metaphorical language, it is operational truth. There are moments when obstacles disappear without explanation. Delays that protect you, interruptions that redirect you, assistance that arrives at the exact moment it is needed. These are not coincidences, they are responses. Reinforcement does not always look dramatic. Often it looks like provision, timing, or protection you only recognize in hindsight. There are accounts throughout Scripture of divine intervention shaping outcomes. Daniel in the lion's den, not removed from danger, but preserved within it. Elijah fed by ravens in isolation, provision arriving in unlikely ways. These stories are not ancient myths. They reveal a pattern of support that continues wherever divine purpose is active. You may not see the full scope of what stands with you, but you feel its effects. Paths open, threats dissolve. What seemed like a setback becomes redirection. What felt like loss becomes preparation. Nothing is wasted. Every challenge becomes reinforcement. Your journey is fortified, not to make it effortless, but to make it effective. Every step aligns you further with your calling, and while the path may demand endurance, it is never abandoned. The Lord will guard your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. Psalm 121 verse 8. As you move forward, remember this truth. You are not merely surviving, you are positioned. You are not merely protected, you are reinforced. Darkness may observe, hesitate, and retreat, but it cannot prevail. Your life stands as evidence that light does not need permission to shine. It simply does. Your assignment continues. Your peace remains. Your authority stands. And nothing operating in fear can overcome a life anchored in divine truth. As this journey comes to a close, what remains is not just a message, but an invitation to live differently, more consciously, and more aligned with the truth you have been reminded of. To walk as a chosen one is not about superiority or escape from hardship, but about responsibility, awareness, and embodiment. It means allowing divine love and power to shape the way you move through ordinary days, through conversations, through moments of uncertainty and quiet decision-making. Every step you take carries weight beyond what you can see. Your patience in a difficult moment, your refusal to act from fear, your choice to respond with compassion instead of defensiveness, all echo in unseen realms. Darkness is not challenged only in dramatic confrontations. It is diminished each time you choose integrity when compromise would be easier, faith when doubt feels louder, and stillness when chaos invites reaction. In practical terms, this calling shows up in simple, grounded actions. It is reflected in how you care for your inner life, guarding your thoughts and emotions with discernment rather than allowing them to be pulled in every direction. It is seen when you create space for silence, reflection, or prayer, not as ritual, but as nourishment. It lives in the discipline of telling the truth to yourself, acknowledging where you are tired, where you are healing, and where you are being asked to grow. It is present when you choose to forgive, not because it excuses harm, but because it frees your spirit from carrying weight that was never meant to stay with you. Scripture reminds us, do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Romans 12:21, and that overcoming often happens quietly, internally, long before it becomes visible externally. Living as someone divinely reinforced also means understanding that rest is not weakness. Even Jesus withdrew to quiet places to pray and renew his strength. You are not called to constant striving, but to sustainable faithfulness. Pay attention to what restores you, what grounds you, what brings you back into alignment when the world feels heavy. Let your routines reflect intention rather than urgency. Choose what you consume mentally and emotionally with care, knowing that clarity is one of the greatest protections you carry. When fear attempts to rush your decisions, pause. When confusion tries to pull you into extremes, return to what you know to be true. Your light does not require perfection to be effective. It requires honesty, humility, and willingness. There will be days when you feel strong and days when you feel uncertain, and both are part of the journey. What matters is that you continue forward, anchored in the understanding that you are not walking alone and that your life is held within a purpose larger than any single moment. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Psalm 27:1 is not a denial of difficulty, but a declaration of trust. As you carry this message with you, let it shape how you see yourself and others. Recognize that many around you are fighting unseen battles, and your calm presence may be the safest place they encounter all day. Let your words be measured, your actions thoughtful, and your presence steady. In doing so, you become a living testimony that light does not need to announce itself to be powerful. It simply needs to be lived. And as you continue on this path, may you walk with quiet confidence, knowing that you are upheld, guided, and strengthened, not for your own glory, but so that the world, in small and meaningful ways, may be reminded of hope.